Hi, Tony here from Big Ears Audio, and welcome to another edition of Love What You Do, Do What You Love. I'm here with Natalie Coleman. What's your title? You just said it a minute ago. Tell me.
I suppose I'm an arts program designer / facilitator.
Fantastic. I've known you for a few years, Nat. Now, Nat, I know you as you have a troupe of kids that you teach dancing to. But tell me about your story. How did you get to where you are now? Because I mean, I know you used to act, did some voiceover work. You've basically been in the arts, but now you're a little bit.
I've branched out.
You're branched out. Tell us a little bit more about your journey and how you got to where you got.
Well, I trained as a triple threat, but acting was always sort of my thing. And about 12 years ago, I was working on an Australian soapie, and I was sitting in the green room, and I went, wow, this isn't feeding my soul like I thought it would.
What were you doing? You're doing the...
Yeah, I was an actor. So I was working on an Australian soap as the Neighbours, funnily enough.
Cool.
And I was sitting in the green room at Channel 10, and I went, oh, this doesn't feel how I thought it would feel. You know,
it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Did you do acting as a child? Is that what you?
I always had a passion for performance.
Cool.
And I sang in bands, and I danced, and I had a real love of heightened language. I really loved Shakespeare, and so I did a lot of theatre.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I got into the TV world, and I had the look that that suited television.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there's only so many roles in Shakespeare for a 20-something-year-old blonde girl.
Yeah.
So my agent shuffled me into television, and it just didn't sort of feed my soul. And I was sitting in the green room at Channel 10, and I started writing a business plan.
How old were you then?
I was 23.
Nice. Okay. So you thought at that moment, I need to do something else.
Yeah. And so I conjured up this idea of designing and facilitating arts engagement programs for young people that would otherwise be disengaged. And I think there was a real niche market for artsy kids to slip through the cracks.
Yeah. And so did you how did you come across that? Is there something that did you have friends that you saw, or did you have people around you saw that weren't getting the funding or getting or is it just something you just basically intuitively went, hey,
It's a funny story. My father worked on a remote Indigenous community in the West Kimberley, and he asked me to come up and help put together a performance with a group of breakdancers to open a gallery space that was a community development project.
Fantastic.
And it was when I got to the community that I realised the power of arts engagement. And so we did that project, and I came back and I was working on Neighbours, and that's when I went, I think I could put together my love of the arts.
Yeah.
And work with young people and make what I do matter.
That's interesting, isn't it? Interesting, and that's probably and so you wrote your business plan. Were you studying at the time?
Well, halfway through my business plan, I decided that all I had at that point was a Bachelor of Arts in Theatre Performance.
Okay.
So I went back and I did a diploma of community welfare, and then I did a Cert 4 in business. And then I did a postgrad in education.
And did you find that all helped in what you're doing now?
Yes,
fantastic.
Absolutely.
So you were laying the foundations.
Yeah, I just kept.
Did you think that out? Like, okay, I need to do this and this, or is it something that came intuitively and go, you know what, I might do this, or I might do this, it just sort of came.
It was more about adding tools to my toolkit. So I would go out and facilitate a program and then go, oh, I really need to learn more about this.
Yes.
And so I'd go, well, what qualification do I need now?
Oh, fantastic. And so you went out and got it.
Yeah. And my last one I only got a few years ago, and I did a postgrad in education specialising in applied learning. And I just kept...
You love kids, don't you?
Do you know what? I never, ever, in a million years, thought I'd ever work with young people.
Yeah.
And then when I was 15, I had a really rough time. And I remember saying to myself, I will never forget what it feels like to be young.
Yeah.
And to not have your no matter what adult. I didn't have that no matter what adult.
Yeah, you know what?
You know?
We'll thought, and there's a lot of people out there like that too. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, you need. I think you need somebody like that in your life.
Every young person does.
Does, man.
And I went, I can be that person.
Yeah.
I can be the no matter what person for another child.
Fantastic.
And now I've worked with over 100,000 kids across Australia.
Wow.
And I'd like to think that I've been and remain that adult.
You've changed people's lives. I mean,
I'd hope.
Well, yeah. Inadvertently, you sort of do, because what would have happened if you weren't? If you don't want to overthink it. You don't want to, you don't want to overthink it. But what happens if you weren't there for that, or maybe more people would have fallen through the cracks. Or,
maybe.
You don't know. But at the end of the day, it's more about yourself too, and just making a difference too.
Yeah, and I think, I remember once I was doing a project with Red Dust, and we'd gone out for dinner, and I was outside the casino in Alice Springs, and this kid ran up to me and he said, Natalie. And I turned around and there was this young Indigenous boy, he might have been about 20, standing in front of me, and I had no idea who he was, but he looked familiar. And he looked at me and he said, "Thank you, Natalie."
Oh, fantastic, man.
And I went, wow.
Wow.
And it turned out that I had facilitated a program with this kid, 6 years earlier on a community southwest of Alice Springs. And I was only there for 3 days, but...
3 days.
3 days.
See, mate? See?
And
I think you take that sort of stuff for granted.
Yeah.
Because one of my key things is I love helping younger kids. Because I wish, like yourself, that I had a great childhood, so I've got no complaint, but I wish I had a mentor going through through periods of my life that can go, hey man, maybe let's talk, just things, just a mentor to teach you certain things, whether it be business, whether it be in music or whatever. So I'm trying to do that now, and I constantly find young kids that I can actually sort of just give some advice, and try and move in some sort of direction and go, hey man, if we do it like this, we can do it like that.
Do you know, I really relate to that, because I also teach in the youth work faculty at RMIT, so I teach the youth work students, and I think part of what feeds my soul is being able to share my skills and knowledge and what I've learnt with the next generation of young people that will be those no matter what adults.
Yeah, man. That's what I think. And I think, I don't know, it's just, it's fulfilling. There's something about it. And also because, again, I'm like, probably, I just wish I had somebody, and it's really good because I've got all this knowledge, like yourself, and you want to share it and go, hey, do it this, and you'll get there a little bit quicker, because it took me a lot longer to get over there. So if you do it like this, I've got a bit of a road. I've got a bit of a roadmap. So,
don't make this mistake.
Yeah. And so this brings me to where we are now with Troop. Now, tell me about Troop Kids in St Kilda.
Oh, my beautiful St Kilda crew.
Yeah.
So Troop Kids, that's the only open class I've ever run.
Okay.
So it's the only fee-for-service program that we've run. Most of our programs we facilitate through community service organisations or schools or in partnerships. But this one, anyone can come.
Yeah.
So the whole idea of it was that we could bring together young people from all walks of life.
Yeah.
And everyone would walk in equal. So, as you know, the city of Port Phillip is incredibly diverse, and you can have a $4 million house next door to Housing Commission.
Yeah.
And for young people who aren't going to the top private schools in the area, really feel that. And I wanted to cut through that
It's a huge
class.
divide, isn't it? It's
huge.
crazy. It's
massive.
Crazy, yeah, man.
And I thought, well, what's the one thing that cuts across all racial lines, all divides, all religions, race, is hip hop.
Yeah.
There is no it's just non-discriminatory.
It is,
and
isn't it?
it's a language that we knew from when we were kids, even though it's evolved.
Now it's their language though. I mean, now it's, when we were kids, it was fringe. It was very fringe.
Yeah, it was.
It was so fringe.
But now it's integrated into everything. It's what they wear. It's their shoes.
It's a culture. It's part of our whole...
Yeah. And
so it's a cultural thing now.
It is. It's massive. And it's a social movement. And whether they're excited by dance or not, they all know that language. Young people know that language.
Yeah.
And I thought the greatest way to reach young people is to speak their language. And so we set up this program, and we were invited to use the St Kilda PCYC. And it started with about 4 kids.
Yeah.
And obviously I didn't make any money or and it just grew and grew and grew, and we're 10 years in and we still average around 25 to 30 students.
Yeah, it's great.
In a class.
Yeah.
I've got some kids that have been there nearly 10 years. We set up a mentor program so that there's no classes based on age. It's based on enthusiasm.
Because you integrate the youngies with the oldies.
I do,
and
so
that's really, really important. And I know that you like you said, your mentor, because I remember when Tyler went and he was scared. And I remember, and to see how he is now.
I know, front row, killing it.
Yeah, you know, and like his confidence level, and that's what. I think that's another thing you do with the kids, don't you?
Yeah.
You raise their confidence level.
Confidence and resilience. They're 2 things we focus on, and both of those things are built on the back of good relationships.
Yeah.
You know, so I put a lot of effort into building the relationship I have with the young people, but also the relationships they have with each other. So all the older kids that come through the program mentor the younger kids, and they dance in the same crews, on the same routines. And obviously we've hired Geordie now, who's come through our program. I think she's done 9 years.
Fantastic.
So eventually the plan was, when I started Troop, because sustainability is always the hard thing.
Yeah.
Where ideally, in an ideal world, I would love that the kids take over this business, and it keeps running. And Troop Kidz is run by Troop Kids,
because they understand. They get it. They understand the philosophy. They understand the thing. You don't want. It's not something you can go, okay.
You can't teach it.
You can't teach it, no.
And I've tried. I've I've had contractors over the years, and you can't teach it. It's
an holistic thing, and
it
you know
is.
what? And every kid in that troop, you can tell, cares for one another.
Yeah,
they look
do.
out. They're like, and
it's
they're
a family.
It is a family, and we're so if anybody wanted to like. Do you accept students constantly?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So where would somebody find Troop Kidz? You got a Facebook?
We do. We're on Facebook. We've also got a website, www.troopkids.com.
Cool.
But yeah, we don't do a lot of marketing. Everything we do is word of mouth.
But that's great.
Because
you know why? You get the right people.
That's right, and it's transparent. We don't claim to be a dance school. We don't claim to pump out great dancers. We pump out awesome, resilient kids who work well with each other, who need to reconnect with people, their peers, their community. We feed souls.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Well, thank you for joining me, Nat.
Thanks for having me here.
No, thank you. And good luck with Troop Kidz.
Thank you.
What's the future for Nat? Isn't it? We've got Troop Kidz. We've got any more Neighbours appearances?
Not for a while. Not for a while. I'll keep doing my teaching artist work, and you can see me around the traps at RMIT, and I'll certainly be won't be leaving Troop anytime soon.
Beautiful. Thanks, Nat.